So today's thesis is the idea about when do other people tell other people that they, oh, you got problems, or you're crazy, or you're this, or some definition of self given by another. We don't choose our names. We certainly don't choose our nicknames. You can't ask people to call you something. I mean, you can, and probably people should do it out of respect, but I think sometimes nicknames are just given. Everybody has a different one. But also, people don't, start telling you or define you, right? Or defined by another person. And so another person, because, right, if we're in the woods, we don't know how we are. We just behave. We just be. We just are. Until somebody tells us, man, that's crazy. That's weird. That's strange. That's everything. And especially when you're young, you don't know who the fuck is this person. Maybe they're your friend, maybe they're not your friend, maybe a classmate, maybe a teacher, maybe a cousin, whatever it is, whoever it is. Even if it's a TV show or a radio show or whatever, whatever we're exposed to, we read something, and through our interpretation of that read, or through people literally directly saying it, or however it makes us feel, we're defined by that to a certain degree, or do we allow ourselves to be defined by it? And I'm sure there's a range of people can say, screw you, I'm not going to let you define me. In which case, those people are split up into the people that, they should be stopped by society, because they're megalomaniacal, freaking lunatic sociopaths, versus the other people that are like, no, I'm going to be my independent self, and they just go around and they live their life and they don't bother people. They move over from the left lane. They don't, they're not maniacs. In a gross general sense of the word. So those camps fit in, but then there's other people that are trying to regulate it and say, well, you're this or you're that, or put you into this tier or test out into that level. Even IQ tests, EQ, nowadays they're doing, I guess, EQ tests for kids. Where do you get placed? Which tier? Starting in middle school from 5th to 6th, you start getting all those tests out. Somebody determined that that's a particular age of development. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I doubt it. I think everybody's different. Bad enough everybody has a literally almost like a 10-month age span difference, possibly, within any given grade. That's a little crazy. But yeah, because those people there's a bare influence. Does that establish a particular pecking order? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe there's a slew of cases where it just doesn't matter how one is defined by the world. It only matters of, what one lets into to define the self. At that age, though, how cognitive are we? And then to what degree does it just wire us? If we're not cognitive, if we're not aware of it, and then later on we have to uncouple it. And here's the uncoupling. I will never ever forget my English teacher from high school saying, "Yohai, you're a great big Saint Bernard. You mean well, or you're like a great big Saint Bernard. You mean well, but you're wrecking the joint." That'll always stay with me. It didn't bother me as much as it bothered her to hear that I still held on to it, maybe even to this day. It made her feel much like, oh my God, everybody should have regard to everybody else's too. Like, well, what are we saying? How are we saying to that person? And I'm like, if you're going to insult somebody, like, know that you're going for it. And then if you're being insulted, it's almost like it's only if you take insult, right? But at least you know that's well, there's that person defining me, telling me, Yohai, you're so good at this or that, but there's always that but. People pull that shit on you. So they're kind of like reeling you in with a couple of coaxing compliments, and then they pull a 180. How is that not cognitive? I don't think I've ever done. I mean, it's like, and I guess if I'm going to give it a benevolency, they're trying to establish that they think you're valued in this and A, B, C, and D, and B, but I'm going to stick my nose into your business and tell you where you're fucking up. And, it's interesting that, to what degree do we allow ourselves to be given problems by other people, right? Somebody gives me a problem to have that I didn't have before. And the only reason I believe them that I have a problem is because, well, I don't know, they're not, they're of a certain relation to me. So I believe them and I take on a problem that maybe is not even mine to take on. And then I got to solve that problem that's not really mine to solve, let alone able to possibly be solved by me, because it's not my problem to have. But if I'm convinced that it is, well, then I have to what degree, how long do I work on a problem before I realize, hey, this is not mine? And then you can move on from that. But early on, you're being told where you are in that particular state. You are this intelligent, or you are this smart, or you're this capable, or you're this not capable, not smart, not intelligent. You're a fucking idiot. Or no, you're not. You should be getting A's. You should be getting B's. Oh, good for you on the C pluses. I don't know. To what degree is any of this? And I'm sure people have data points, but then, we know that people can just view a data point in the way that you want. Sort of, depending on the columns and I guess the data points. But to what degree do we allow others to define us? And then we stand by that definition, reoccurring it, recycling it, and reaffirming it through our own habituation from formative years. I've always been like this. Have you? Have we? I mean, at some point, somebody calls us strange, weird, crazy, whatever, and it defines us. Or we let it define us. Or then we see it in a particular way. Is this good? Is this bad? Do people have a good reaction from it? Do people have a bad reaction about it? And then the only thing is like, who am I surrounding myself with to have those reactions? But, we don't think it through on that. I don't think, very few, I didn't. Maybe you did. Cool, goody gumdrops for you, but I'm jealous. A little bit. But to what degree do we continue to allow other people to tell us who we are? Now, the flip side to that is you can have a fucking maniac, don't tell me who I am, and start catching an attitude when we're all right on the money. Oh, you're being a fucking asshole. And they start. So to a certain degree, there's no arguing. I mean, if we allow ourselves to say, you know what, I'm not going to be defined, maybe there is that middle ground. I guess it's one of those things, if one person calls you an asshole, all right, maybe it's on them. If 1,000 people are calling, well, let's not say 1,000 people, because how many people are running into 1,000 people? But let's say 100 good, decent friends, just every once in a while say, man, you're such a dick. Maybe there's something to look at. Maybe you're a little bit of a dick. Or if one of your good friends called you pompous, I mean, depending on the valuation of it, to what degree are you going to let it in? Are we going to let it in? Would I? A friend of mine told me that she doesn't remember me without a cigarette in my mouth when I was in my late 20s. That opened me up because I was there willing to accept it, and that allowed me to quit smoking. Other people will say to me, dude, you did this. I'm like, I did? And instead of just rejecting it, there it is. To what degree have I changed? To what degree can we change with anything? I'm not going to let my history define me, nor some kind of potential inevitable future. Maybe it's one of those kind of things. Thanks for listening.